Pronunciation tournament. Okay, here we go. So again, my name is Jeff. This is Jeff with Fluent American checking in. I hope you guys are having a great weekend. And today we're going to be focusing again on our pronunciation tournament. So recently I asked you guys to give me some of the words that you found hardest to pronounce in American English. And so you guys gave me a great list. Had to modify it slightly just to make sure I could fit it into the bracket. So if your word was not included, my apologies. I was one or two words kind of playing around with things a little bit. Also, apologies, you may hear my dog in the background, as always, of course. But yeah, so our goal for today is to introduce our tournament, talk about our words. Now, we're also going to talk about how to pronounce each of these individually. And then after that, we're going to be doing a series of polls over the next few days and things like that to help us decide which one of these words is hardest to pronounce in American English. Okay? And of course, if there's other words that you have questions about or things that you're not sure about, you can always let me know too. Also have our chat box open in case you guys have something you wish to add. Let me actually make this window a little bit bigger so you can see me better. And blow this up so I can see you better. Okay. So you can see on my left-hand side, we have our actual brackets. So these are going to be the polls that we're going to do. So for instance, we're going to compare warm and bureaucrat, which word we think is harder. Sixth and girl, world and soothed, opposition and strength. And then on the it says our dog is one of us, and he so is, isn't he? He really is one of us. On our either side, some other words that we're going to be comparing. So anesthetist in 12th, paths versus regime, involve in 5th, and important versus worm. Okay, so my goal for this video is to show you how to pronounce each of these individually. And then later today, I will put our first poll so you can help me decide which words are going to be hardest. Okay. Hey, son. Thanks for joining us as always. So let's start off talking about how to pronounce these. Our first word here, warm. Warm. Notice my lips there. War. Or. If you could say war, like the conflict, war, just add an M sound after that. Warm. Warm. It's a little bit tricky with that R because it's not like a super strong R. For instance, like in rough. Rough. It's a little bit lighter than that. Warm. Warm. It also moves a little bit faster. How about our second word here? Bureaucrat. Bureaucrat. Notice that the yer sound at that first syllable. Bureaucrat. Also, that AT at the end does not get reduced. It maintains that ah sound. For instance, like a cat. So again, ah, at. Making sure, as always, for all of these words, you want to make sure that your placement's low enough and relaxed enough, getting enough air. Okay, so like bureaucrat. It's not cat, it's crat. Crat, lower and relaxed. How about our next word, coming in at the number 9 spot? Sixth. Sixth. This is tricky because of that TH. So start off by just making sure you can say 6, okay? 6, 6. Against a short I sound, I. Make sure it's not it's not sexth, it's sixth, sixth. And after that x sound is done, you want to move into that TH spot. Okay, sixth. This is, I've been working with a couple of students recently on THs, and that's actually what our next video is going to be about for tomorrow. Practicing THs in a couple different positions and linking words and things. But for these THs, a key thing, I really can't stress it enough, your tongue does not need to be in between your teeth. You don't need to do like a, I'm not sure if you can see that, okay. It doesn't need to be that low. It just needs to make a little bit of contact with your top front tooth. Okay, and that's going to help with that transition, because as soon as you go from that x, x with that x, you're then just going to raise it up a little bit for that th. It's like x, x. See if you can make that combination. X, x, sixth, sixth. Okay. After that, we have the word girl. Girl. Always a tricky word to say. This always comes up. So we're saying girl. Anytime you get these like RL combinations, they're always a little bit tricky. Okay. So when you're saying girl, start off just to even get that first syllable right. Just grr, grr. Then you can curl up the tongue a little higher into that ol sound. Girl, 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 girl. The key part is making sure that the grr part is audible and clear. Hey, Rana, thanks for joining us as always. Good to see you. So again, with girl, making sure again, grr, and then you can slide it up. Girl, 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 girl. Tends to be a tricky one there. Similar thing for the fifth seed, world, world. It's almost like saying we're old. World. World. Same idea. Get the were part out clearly first, then you can move into that LD. Old. World. World. After that, soothed. Soothed. This is tricky because you need to get the TH sound clear. It's a voice TH, so make sure you're getting vibration. It's not sooth. Hear that? It's just the breath. It's not that. You need your throat to vibrate. Soothe. And again, like I mentioned before, raise that tip of your tongue. Don't put it in between your teeth, a little bit higher. That's going to make getting to that D sound so much easier. That's the sound you're looking for. Soothed. Soothed. Our next one. Opposition. Opposition. Notice that the first O in American English is an ah sound. Ah, op, op. The second syllable is your schwa sound. Op, op. And then you get zishin. Short I, I. Opposition. Opposition. Okay, so that's coming in for the 13th seed. Our next word, strength. Strength. Okay, it's like that sound. If that NG sounds a little bit tricky for you, I'm looking at, for instance, like Russian speakers, also Mandarin speakers too. Making sure that the back of your tongue is raised, front of your tongue is down. Strang, strang. And then, as soon as that's done, raise that front of your tongue up to that TH position. Strength, strength. What you don't want to hear, you don't want to hear strength, strength. You don't want to hear that. You don't want to hear strength. It's strength, strength. You can compare some of those. Absorbeda notes that soothe is a really hard word to say. Yeah, it's a tricky one. Going from those THs to those Ds. It's not a common combination. Fortunately in English, there's not a lot of words that move from that TH to that D sound. Okay, so if you're picking your battles, if you're like, I don't have time to study every sound in English, I just want to focus on the common ones. That THD combination, not so common. There's other ones that are way more important. But if you're a perfectionist, I think I talked to like 3 new students this week, and every single one of them, I asked them, why are you studying pronunciation? Why are you interested in it? And they all said they're perfectionists. So if you're a perfectionist, it's definitely a combination you want to take a look at. Next one. So this is, again, the left side of our bracket. So we're going to be comparing those words in our competition. What's our right side look like? Okay, at the top, in our 3rd seed, Ron, I think it was you that gave this to me, anesthetist. Anesthetist. Lots of tricky things here, not going to lie. So first of all, getting from that S to that TH is not easy. It's like a ness, and then firstly, make sure you get that part down first. Make sure that the S part is clear. A ness. Zabena mentions she is a perfectionist. I totally get it. Look, I think a lot of language learners, if you're watching this video, you're probably somewhat of a perfectionist to some degree, most likely. At least when it comes to languages. A ness. And then after that, hey, hey, it's been a while. That's great. It was good to see you. Everyone's popping in today. So for anesthetist, making sure you can get that first part done first. Okay, a nest, get that S sound really clear, and then transition to the TH. A nest, a nest. So again, what I've said before, that TH, you can put it in between your teeth, but it's going to be so much easier, a little bit higher. Raise the tip of your tongue a little bit higher on the back of your top front tooth. So like a nest, a nest, a nest, s, s. That's that combination you want to be practicing. A nest, and then you get the last syllable, tist, tist. Interesting because that T does not take a fast D sound. So it's not a dist. It's going to stay pronounce that T, tist. Also make sure that that I stays a short I. So it's not teast. It's not anesthetist. It's anesthetist. Anesthetist. Okay? Yeah, that's definitely a tricky word. Same with the next one, though. Next one doesn't get any easier. 12th. 12th. Why is this one tricky? It's that ending, especially for most students, going from that F sound, that elf, to that TH. Let's just kind of focus on the last part of the word. Elf. Elf. So going from like, can you do that really quick? See how well you can do that. They should be two distinct sounds. I don't know how well the microphone picks that up. But again, the F sound is like, no, so I'm just kind of, the F and the V are the same mouth position. So we're like the tip of your tongue touches your lower lip. Or tip of your tongue, the tip of your top front tooth touches your lower lip. I forgot my water again. I always forget my water for these. So again, you want to get like that F sound first, and then you want to move to that TH. 12th. 12th. Okay? Our next one for number 11, another TH word. I've been seeing a trend. TH is making up in so many of our difficult pronunciation words. So again, going from a TH to an S, it's like the opposite of what we just did. So again, get the TH sound clear first. Path, path. You can use a singular form. Then as soon as the TH is done, move into the S position. Paths, paths. Don't rush it. If you rush it, you're going to get like paths or like path. That's a very common thing for students. Instead of saying paths, they'll just say path with no S sound or no audible S sound. And again, if people can't hear your S, it's going to sound singular, even if you want it to be plural. So definitely pay attention to that. Our next one for number 6, a little bit different. No THs for once. Regime. Regime. Again, so it's like first syllable gets reduced with that schwa sound, like r. And then that second syllable gets that long I, the E sound. Regime. Regime. One thing you want to pay attention to, I think I talked about this. I have a video that talks about vowel sounds that exist in English and that your language also probably has. One of those sounds is the long I, E, E. It's a super common vowel sound. Most languages have it. But the difference in American English is the placement. The placement is going to be low and in the throat. So if you're sounding like, when you say this, like E, E, or even like E, E, what's happening is it's just too tense. Not enough air is making it through your throat. The muscles are too tight. Okay? So instead of saying eam, it's going to be more eam. Can you hear the difference between eam and eam? That second one is more relaxed, more air is going through. It's a lot more resonant. Okay, so that's something you want to pay attention to on those long I sounds. We have a question here. So how can we say the S on paths right after the TH? And again, that's one of the reasons why I can't really stress it enough. When you're making your TH sound, don't put your tongue in between your teeth because that's going to make this transition really hard. So instead of doing like paths, that's a little bit tricky. Just very lightly press your tongue on the back of your top front tooth. Very, very lightly. So again, like, and then So as you're making that TH sound, it's like, notice, you can even see, I'm gonna pull my lip down so you can see that I don't have my tongue right in between my teeth. Like, I don't know if you can see it, but what's happening is my tongue starts off with that TH position, then moves up. It's like, so what I would say is start with your tongue a little bit higher on the back of your top front tooth. Don't start with it so low, because otherwise you're going to lose some time when you're trying to transition to that S. Okay, so that's some of my recommendations for that THS sound. I know it's a tricky combination. Definitely one worth practicing a little bit to get more comfortable. Then our final 4 words here. First one, involve. Involve. Tricky thing here is the 2 V sounds. Make sure when you're making your V's that your top tooth is touching your lower lip. Right around here. That's where you want the contact to be. And of course, your throat needs to vibrate. The first V tends to be easier for students than the second V. So make sure at the end of that, involve. That final V needs to stay strong with a voice sound. Involve. It's not involve. It's involve. Next one, we have the F with the TH. It's like fifth. Fifth. Just like we kind of saw in past, it's like the opposite. Same thing we also saw in like 12th. So again, fifth. Fifth. Going from that F to that TH, which we've talked about already. Also watch out for that I. Again, short I sound, not a long I. So it's not fifth. It's fifth. Fifth. Okay. We have a question here too about the L in involve from Zabit. It's the dark L. Yeah, you can use dark L. You don't need a strong L sound here. It's not involve. Involve. It's not that. It's involve. Involve. What I can actually do when I say involve, I can actually hold the tip of my tongue against the bottom of my mouth for the entire word. I'll try to keep my mouth relatively open so you can see that. I don't know how this is going to go, so this is going to be a learning experience for everybody. Involve. Involve. I don't know if you can see it, but my tongue isn't moving. In. Notice what I'm doing also. Hey, Lucas, good to hear from you. Everyone's here. Thanks, Rana, for the comment. Oh, you guys are great. Notice how I'm making that N sound. In. The tip of my tongue is actually staying down. So how am I making the N sound? Well, this is a super common tactic that native speakers do. Is they're going to keep the very tip of the tongue down. And for that contact with the top of your mouth, you're actually just going to use the front, but not the very tip, just the very front of your tongue. So like, I'm not sure if you can see it. In. The tip of my tongue stays low. But the very front of my tongue, like right around there, that part is going to go up to make contact for the N. It's like in. That's just going to make some of that linking a little bit easier. Okay, it's like involve. And again, let me say it one more time with my mouth wide so you can see that the tip of my tongue does not go up for that L sound. It's a dark L. Involve. Involve. Notice you never see my tongue raised. Let me show you what it looks like if I were to raise my tongue. Involve. Do you see that tongue? Involve versus involve. You don't see the tongue there when I make it a dark L. Okay, some little things there. Got a lot of that today. All right, probably more visuals than you wanted. I'm sorry. Okay, our last 2 words, then we'll kind of summarize everything. First word here is important. Important. This is our only word, I think. Let me check out the other side. I think this is our only word with a held T sound. And the held T is one of those sounds. Well, I guess technically bureaucrat has it for that last syllable, but this is the only held T in the middle of a word. Enunciation is a beta mentions enunciation. Make sure that your vowel sounds are super clear. Make sure your vowel sounds are always going to be more important than your consonant sounds. Okay. Important is a word that I think a lot of people overlook that is actually pretty difficult. You're doing some complex stuff. Impor. Poor. So there's a couple things that can go wrong. First syllable, short I sound. M. It's not eem. Okay, so it's not eem. It's M. Short I sound. Next sound, poor. Poor. It's not poor. It's poor. Poor. So that's another part. So it's not import. It's impor. It's not import. It's impor. Then we get this next syllable. Important. Important. So what's happening? Oh my God. So it's like we have a held T with another held T with a held T, pretty much. It's like can you hear the difference between this import and import? Import, 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 import. Typically, for native speakers, you're going to hear the second one. Import, import. Okay, where it's a held sound, you're not releasing the breath on the T. You're not removing the T, but you're not releasing the breath. You're tightening your throat and you're shortening the vowel. Import, import. Then we're going to get that last syllable. So this is what's happening is you have this held T before an N sound. So for instance, in a word like mountain or cotton or written or forgotten. Same thing here. Important. And then same thing. That last T is going to be held a little bit. Important. Important. It's very important. So instead of saying it's very important, it's very important. It's not it's very important. It's very important. Son asks 6. Tough. Son, what do you... I don't know if I'm understanding the question. Like, are these tough words? I think they're tough words. I don't know. Let me know what you think. We'll be talking about polling and things like that soon. Our last word here. I had one student who, I believe she was a Russian speaker. She had a great pronunciation. She picked up things super, super quickly. Super natural sounding. But this was definitely one word that tended to be tricky. Worm. Worm. So it's just like saying were, like the past tense of the verb to be, were, and then adding an M sound after it. Worm. What you want to be careful of, this is true for a lot of like Asian language groups. Yep. Lucas talking about classes, they can say, yeah, I know who you are, Lucas. I know. Got married relatively recently and stuff. You can find classes. I am still on italki, but for people who don't find me on italki, you can also schedule classes here at fluentamerican.com, where I actually also have classes and things like that. Click on the classes tab. But yeah, I'm still out here teaching, man. I'm still here. Going back for worm really quick. What you want to watch out for is not to add a vowel sound in between the R and the M. So it's not worm. It's not worm. It's worm. Worm. You also want to compare, for instance, worm versus warm. Worm, warm. Worm, warm. Watching out for those. And another question here from Zabeta. Important sounds a little like important. Am I pronouncing import? Am I? It's hard to know with text if I'm doing that the way you are doing that. Zabeta, you can also send me an audio message on one of the social pages or something if you have big questions and I'm not doing that correct. But yeah, important. What I would say is it sounds like M, short I, with the M. Poor. This is like the poor, like the word poor. So that second syllable in important should sound like poor, like the not having money, kind of like the life of an English teacher. Okay, let's do one last quick rundown, then we'll talk a little bit about how to what this tournament's going to look like. Okay, let's start off with the left hand side again. Dum, dum, dum. So again, we have warm, bureaucrat. So think about which of those two words do you think is more difficult to say? Warm or bureaucrat? Our next challenge is going to be sixth girl. That's a tricky one. Which one of those words do you think is harder to say? Sixth or girl? Our next one is going to be world or soothed. Which one of those words is harder? World or soothed? Next one, opposition or strength. Which one of those two words is hard to say? Strength or opposition? Other side of our bracket, we're going to be comparing anesthetist and 12th. Which one of those two words is hardest to say? After that, we have paths and regime. Which one of those words is hardest to say? Involve versus fifth. Which one of those words is harder? And important versus worm. Which one of those words is hardest to say? Okay, so naturally, we have a good amount of words here. Okay, so we have a total of, what is it, 16? Oh, maybe not quite that many. Yeah, 16. Yeah, total 16 words. So this is going to take some time. Pay attention to the channel, the posts on the community tab, because over the next few days, every day we're going to be doing a different poll to try to eliminate or try to arrive at just one winner. Only one of these words can win our title of the hardest word to pronounce in American English pronunciation. Only one of these words can win, and we have to kind of narrow down our choices through this tournament. So I will be posting a poll after this class to help us decide. We'll probably go in order. So for instance, first word versus 16th, 15th word versus second word, and things like that. Okay. I missed a couple questions. Lucas asked, do you find the word sixth hard to pronounce? Yeah, I think sixth tends to be, I don't personally find it like challenging, but it is one that I think comes up a lot in my pronunciation classes with students. That sort of X, you know, when you make an X sound, there's like an S sound that's a part of it, like x, x, and that going from an S to a TH tends to be tricky for a lot of students. Okay. So yeah, I think a lot of people find that difficult. Another question, do worm and worry. Yeah, same vowel sound, I would say. It's like worry, worm. I think if you pronounce them with the same vowel sound, you'll be fine. Yeah. Okay, I'll stay on for another couple minutes or so, just in case other people have other questions on this. But yeah, this is going to be our tournament, or tournament, however you say it. Tournament or tournament. You have some options there. So again, take a look at our polls. Help me out. Polls will be open, my guess is like for a day or so. We'll kind of see based on the responses and things like that, because I want to move through this tournament relatively quickly. But yeah, we are going to narrow down all of these 16 great challenging words just to find out which one is best for us. Many mentions, you might want to pronounce it this way. I'm a little bit confused with the TR. Is that spelled right? Because it's not in pot, right? Let me know what you think of that really quick when you get a chance, Mitty. But yeah, this is our tournament. I'm excited to see which word we get. I think any one of these you can make arguments for. Rana says she may feel shy to say it around names. I think it's one of those words that's super common, and I think a lot of people already kind of feel comfortable saying it, but then when they actually sit down and think about it, I think they're like, oh, that's actually, I don't know if I'm actually saying that word correctly. Or like, I don't want to even say correctly or like incorrectly, but like in a way that sounds natural to a native speaker, or even just natural in general. I think it's a important. I think the only thing I would say is that, you know, when you're saying important is that T sound again. Like the held T is one of those sounds that I don't think you don't need to use it to sound natural, except in certain situations. Those situations are before an N sound, you know. So like for instance, words like I'll put them in the chat box too. Words like mountain, cotton, button, eaten, forgotten, written. These are words that if you're not using a held T sound, it's going to stand out a little bit, and it may sound a little bit weird. Okay, it's not, you're not saying mountain, you're not saying cotton, you're not saying button, you're saying mountain, you're saying cotton, you're saying button. Okay, so those are definitely the situations where a held T is going to be much, much, much more common. And in fact, I have a video on that just focuses, or that has a lot of focus on held T before an end sound. If that's something that you're interested in. Okay, guys, it's always been fun. I appreciate all you guys stopping by. It's always a pleasure. Again, keep an eye out for the poll. Our first poll is going to go up at some point today. Talking about warm versus bureaucrat. Which one of those two words do you think is harder to pronounce? Give me your feedback. Let me know. Keep an eye out for that poll. And this time in a couple weeks, we will find which word is our champion. The hardest word. Thank you guys so much for joining me today. I hope you have a great weekend. Tomorrow, there's so many words here with the TH sounds. So many words with THs. And that's exactly what our video tomorrow is going to be focusing on, TH linking with other words. So if you find these words like anesthetist, Rana, or paths or fifth, if you find those types of words difficult, this video is coming out tomorrow is really for you guys. I will see you soon. Thank you guys so much for your support. I really do appreciate it. Have a good day. Have a good night. Good afternoon. Good weekend. And we will talk soon.